Well, it was a run chase that never really got going for the Orange Army, and as a result of which, we will talk about it in a while. Both teams are on an even keel. Either the men in purple could have brought Hyderabad down and taken them down, both teams, or they could have given themselves an outside shot of still finishing on a bizarre scenario of a bunch of teams on 14 points. What it will mean is net run rate will be a factor. Quick reminder of the result of the game on Saturday night. Very different from the first time it happened. The reverse fixture, Kolkata put on 175. Hyderabad chased it down by winning by 7 wickets. This time around, similar total, but they were always in charge with the men in purple. 123 for 8, a top score of 43 of 28 for Abhishek Sharma. As long as he was there at the top, things were going well, but wickets just kept falling at regular intervals. Let's join our panel on this Saturday night, Lisa and Michael. First way to sum it up, Michael, the run rate did go for Kolkata. The run chase never got going.
No, I mean, ultimately, I never felt that they believed they could get the score. You know, Abhishek had a decent start. He played some nice strokes, but really, apart from him, you know, Markram did okay with those sixes, but I never felt any of them really play with any kind of belief that they could get the target. KKR were excellent, good combinations, good variations, good captaincy, but the Sunrisers were poor. You know, they had no kind of oomph. I want to use the word oomph in their batting tonight to believe that they could get out of the game with a victory. They just didn't look like they had much belief.
And if we have a look down the way the two innings progressed, I think it will really tell the story, particularly of Hyderabad. Never even touched 9 and over. If you have a look at that, Kolkata had a very decent power play, finished it off well, and then kept it going in the middle despite losing a few wickets, Lisa. That was a real difference.
Yeah, huge difference. And I mean, the issue that Hyderabad has faced is that power play. You know, every team wants to get out of the blocks quickly. Every team wants to capitalise on just the two fielders out. And when you're going less than a run a ball, just shows you things are not going well for Hyderabad. So they've really got to rethink what their batting order will be in the future, because at the moment they cannot go next season with Kane Williamson and Abhishek Sharma. They've got to figure out someone else. And you can't have your number 2 and your number 3 eating up that many deliveries and getting out for low digits. It's fine if they take that time to start their innings, but then they bat for a long period of time and they catch it up. But problem is these guys aren't.
Yeah, we talked about Williamson at the start, and again, it was a case of exactly what had happened in previous matches happened here. We were hoping for maybe a change of ideology, maybe a Tripathi, seeing his old opponents. Tripathi, Abhishek Sharma, aggressive start. Williamson comes at 4-5 whenever he's needed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't change the batting lineup and just try something different, because, as Lisa said, it's just been the same old story. The power play. There must be a lot of bowling units in the IPL are petrified of bowling in the power play. I don't think they're petrified of bowling against the Sunrisers, because they play in such a conventional way. They play in a way that you just love to bowl to them. They don't come and say to you, right, if you bowl anything offline, I'm going to try and whack it for 6, which is the mindset that you need for those first 6 overs. They've just not had it throughout the whole of the IPL. I don't know why they haven't changed it, why they haven't tried something different. Because it's just been it's the same book that they've been thrown out there for us all to read every game. You know, we know what's coming. It's a nice read, but it needs to change.
For Kolkata, they would have wished they could have kept a similar sort of read in the middle part of the tournament. As we mentioned at the start, other than Rinku Singh, identical lineup for game 1 when they started the tournament, Lisa. And it seems that this is the right formula. Why were they not using it throughout?
Yeah, it's we're seeing it with a lot of the IPL teams this year because of the big auction. The usual makeup of their core group of players has changed dramatically, and the players that they thought, the big buys that they thought would have an impact straight away didn't. So then you go searching. Once you start to lose 2-3 matches, we see a lot of franchises, albeit some, like a Chennai or someone, they don't like to disrupt the 11 too much. But a lot of other franchises go, we've got to make a change. We're forced to make a change. But we said, and you mentioned at the top of the show, that this looks like their best 11. It started there. They didn't go very well. Then they found some form, and now, again, they've returned back to this playing 11. It's still not quite right at the top of the order, as in their top four aren't really firing. But, I mean, Andre Russell was excellent. Sam Billings today was very good. And their bowlers turned up, and that was the difference to Kolkata walking away with the 2 points and having a big victory in the end.
Yeah, we'll look at the net run rate shortly, but it was that lineup that you just saw, replaced Rinku Singh with Shivam Mavi, and then put in 24 changes in between from the start till now. That probably has been the story of the season for them. But let's look at today, Michael. They certainly will be, it'll be worth a little mini celebration to see they've got things right. The spinners strangled in the middle. Russell bowled a full quota, 4 overs.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk the team selection. It looks good on paper, it does. But, you know, Dre Russ has won on the game. Dre Russ with a 49, 3 for, got his 4 overs in. He's been a huge difference in the two teams. That partnership with Sam Billings was a smart one. We spoke about that at the halfway house. You just look at that. Dre Russ 4 overs, 14 dots. 2.2 overs of dots that he's bowled and 3 wickets. Remarkable game for Dre Russ. I just think it's a little bit too little too late for KKR. They needed this 5 or 6 games ago. It's all right doing it at this stage of the tournament, but realistically, they've got not a lot of pressure because they know that realistically they can't qualify. So it's a bit of a free hand. They needed it a few games ago.
But Michael's mentioned it, so I guess we should confirm it, that we didn't have to look too hard. There sometimes have been competitive scenarios, but we didn't have to look too hard to find our Omnigel relief and recovery performer of the match. And that is, of course, Andre Russell. Omnigel, India's #1 pain recovery gel brand, not only gives quick relief, but also recovery from pain. No dard for fans in Kolkata. I have an army of fans who don't like to feel the dard. They've been feeling it a bit this season. 49 not out and 3 wickets, including all those dot balls that we saw. Lisa, really, we'd like to say where we wish this would have happened earlier, but focus on this one particular game. He really brought to the table all aspects of his game.
Yeah, he did. We spoke at the innings break about how strategic he was with batting, understanding which bowlers were left to bowl, which overs to target, waited for Sundar that 20th over and capitalised with the 20 runs coming off it. And then we've seen the last few games, Kolkata have used him a lot earlier in the bowling department, using him and trying to get maybe a few more overs instead of just purely at the back. But he bowls a heavy ball, and when he gets it right, when he bowls that nice and full Yorker lengths, and the change-ups that he can do, and the bounce that he can extract, he's an absolute X factor. And that's why he was one of those players retained by Kolkata. He just hasn't been consistent throughout the season for them. And there's always a concern with him injury-wise. But, yeah, it's good to see him at his best because we know how destructive he is. And today he showed it in all 3 departments. Maybe he dropped that first catch. That was the only little blink on his performance.
Yeah, I think what will satisfy him most is it wasn't particularly with the ball, a little bit of a cameo, which he does, 1 over for 3 wickets, 2 overs for 5 wickets, but he came in, bowled his full quota, and as you could see, he is our Omnigel relief and recovery performer of the match. No dud for Kolkata fans there, thanks to Andre Russell. But he had a little bit of help from his friends. It was one of those rare outings, Michael, where you look down the bowling attack, everyone has contributed. The one man who you thought could have gone for 1 million today, Sunil Narayan, 2 overs for 26. Oh dear, he's having an off day. He comes back, crucial overs, gets the big wicket of Puran, and he ticks a box. But what about Varun Chakravarti, Michael? Left out for a few games, suddenly he seems to be finding the mojo.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that on behalf of Tim Southey as well. He didn't play a great deal, and he's coming in and been exceptional. He just bowls that heavy length, very smart. Chakravarti as well, just... I don't think it was hard for them. I'll praise them because they bowled nicely, but I think they were up against a batting unit that was just so poor this evening. I thought they made bowling quite easy. They didn't really look to give that kind of mentality of looking to strike. It was, a batting unit that I think all the bowlers will be in the dressing room now and think, "Oh, that was quite an easy night." There wasn't a great deal for us to bowl to. There wasn't a real fear factor. I want a Dre Russ there stood about to launch you out the park at any stage. So yeah, they bowled nicely, but I thought it was quite easy for them.
Yep, it certainly was. But in the absence, particularly of Pat Cummins now, I mean, there was always the case of when Cummins comes, Saudi goes. And we were crying out for both to bowl together. They did briefly. Then Cummins goes and Saudi says, okay, I need to take responsibility. And he did.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's a seasoned campaigner, isn't he? Not only for New Zealand, but within the IPL and different franchises, he's done the job. So he's always come in and had a fairly good impact straight away. Kolkata, which have always kind of brought in a New Zealand quick, whether it be Ferguson last year as well, comes in, doesn't bowl, comes in, picks up wickets. Same thing with Southee. So I'm glad that he's doing well. He knows his art and he knows his role fairly well. And today he was able to execute.
Yeah, it certainly was. Kolkata bowling unit, disappointing from the Hyderabad batting. And I think if we have a little glance at the points table, it will reflect on the margin of the victory, which will stand the men in purple in good stead. We did say it's a slim chance, but if you have to have the slim chance, the one thing definitely you need is a markedly good net run rate. And Kolkata positive, one match to go. They get to 14, need to stay positive. Bangalore have just one match to go. Rajasthan could lose both. They stay on 14. Delhi would be one of those in the mix as well. So, Michael, I know we were all agreeing that they're both gone. Not yet.
Oh, they're hanging on. They are hanging on. I think tomorrow's game, Rajasthan, is a big one. Rajasthan, look, if they lose again, Rajasthan, well, they're right in the pack. And I think all those teams that we're just seeing, if you just go and put the points table back up, I think all those teams from Rajasthan down to, once the points table comes back up, there you go. I reckon if Rajasthan lose tomorrow, they stay on 14 and everyone's back involved, apart from Hyderabad. I think from Punjab, Calcutta, Delhi, Bangalore, Rajasthan, it's obviously going to be two from those 4 or 5 teams. But Rajasthan have to lose tomorrow. If they win tomorrow, they'll be in, and then it's a real scrap for that last place.
Yeah, and it's also important to look at who's playing who, because Rajasthan, after the next game that they play on the weekend, play a bit of a slippery one, Lisa, against Chennai. The moment any team at this stage are playing Chennai and Mumbai, you have no idea what you're going to expect. Those two teams have nothing at stake except to win a game.
And ruin the party for you. That's about it. So
Yeah.
they are the two teams you do not want to meet right now. Yeah, happy to meet them at the start. Maybe not the start, because Mumbai and Chennai have been so fruitful over the years. So in the middle, when things weren't going well, yeah, they're the teams you wanted to meet because they're scrappy and they weren't looking good. Now all of a sudden that they're totally out of the chase for the finals, they're playing with freedom and they're winning, both of them. So yeah, you don't want to meet them, and I think they are going to take a few teams with them their last game.
Well, we seem to have discussed Kolkata's fate and what they've done. Better net run rate, they're headed in the right direction. For Hyderabad, now just like we mentioned for Rajasthan, for Hyderabad, in terms of the remaining games, they can now only get to 14, and one of the teams they meet are Mumbai. They meet Mumbai next, and then they finish off the campaign on the last day, Michael, playing against Punjab, who by that time, if they've lost a game, could also be the only team wanting to get to 14.
Yeah, I mean, it's too complicated to try and understand. I mean, 16 points gets you in, 14, I reckon there might be one space available. So your net run rate is going to have to be very, very high. If you look at Hyderabad's net run rate, they're going to have to win 2 games heavily because of that heavy loss tonight. So I don't think they're playing well enough. I don't see them winning 2 on the trot. I just think they're going to be too far behind. I don't think they've got any players in any kind of form. And it's always difficult. It's all right, Dre Russ can win a game on his own. I don't see too many Sunrisers winning a game on their own. I don't see that in that team just at the minute. They've had a poor IPL. They had that winning streak, but they just don't seem to have a group of players this year. And the captain in Kane, who's just not playing well enough. That's just the nature of the beast of cricket, that now and again world-class performers just have a period where they just lose a bit of confidence, lose a bit of form, and that affects the rest of the side. And I think that's what's happening with the Sunrisers.
Yeah, fun and games. And just to finish off on that, Delhi, the one team who could get to 14, they're playing Punjab once, so that cancels out. And when they get to 14, the last game is going to be against who? Mumbai. So at the end, it's going to only come to the key teams trying to qualify. They all have a game against either Mumbai and Chennai at a crucial time. So I can tell you, it's if someone had scripted this, it's been perfectly scripted, and it's going to be a bit of fun as we go into the end. But what about Sunday? Double header coming up on Sunday. 2 games to go. They're going to be critical, of course, for movements up and down the table. Let's see what's coming up first on Sunday afternoon. That's going to be Chennai against Gujarat. This one probably won't affect anything because this is Chennai's warm-up to their party spoiling, and it's Gujarat just trying to ensure a 1 and 2, Lisa, really.
Yeah, I mean, from Gujarat's point of view, and you're getting so close to the finals, you just want to ensure that you keep winning it. This isn't the time necessarily to lose a game. But I guess given that they're already qualified, if they were going to lose, maybe tomorrow is the prime example. But, the runs have been coming along nicely. Matthew Wade's come back into the side. Saha and Gill have been good as an opening pair. And we've spoken about Hardik Pandya and how well he's captained the side. This relaxed kind of skipper with his arm around the players, a bit of tender loving care has really got them firing, and they're winning those close games, and they continue to do that.
They've had the odd tactical change, shall we say, like when Lockie Ferguson was left out, Michael, but otherwise, crux of the team, winning combination in a game like this against Chennai, which is not really a dead rubber, but it's the kind of stage where you want to maybe not bust a gut, but yet get the 2 points. No changes for you?
No, I mean, I'm a big believer in T20 cricket. These players, they're fit enough. There's enough backroom to get bodies back on track for a game 48 hours, 72 hours after a previous one. And once you're trying to win an IPL, just keep playing your team. Just keep on that role of playing together. The more you play together, the more you understand your roles. The more that you understand all your combinations, you understand where you are in the field for certain bowlers. It just looks like a smooth operation. When you think this is their first year, the first year as a franchise, and it just looks like they've been together for quite a few years. So the management have done a great job. They had a great auction, got a really good set of players. Same team, keep playing exactly the same method. Don't even change anything. Don't get funky. Don't get clever. Don't try a new couple of things. No need. Just keep winning.
The only thing they did try, Lisa, was Matthew Wade in a different role last time around.
Yeah, he batted at 3, didn't he, the last game? 3, yeah? Yeah, so, I mean, he's used to batting up the order in franchise cricket. It certainly does that in Big Bash, actually opens. But yet we've seen him in the Australian side bat down the order. So he can fit both parts, but I feel that he would feel more comfortable batting up. You ask any batter, they want to bat in the top order. They get the ball nice and hard, capitalise on the power play. So I think, he's the type of player that's not going to die wondering. He's not going to eat up too many balls. So either he'll get you some runs or he'll get out, one of the two.
Go hard or go home. That's his motto.
Yeah.
Well, for Chennai, they know they're going home, but they've still got a bit of business left in the tournament. They've had their ups and downs. They've had their disappointments. They've got that little red band, almost looks like a Band-Aid on Ravindra Jadeja's name there, but that's where it's going to stay, unfortunately. They've had a good few games. Now, I think the likes of Conway and Ruturaj Gaikwad will want to just set that right, keep scoring runs up at the top. And they seem to have found a few interesting little gems in Mukesh Chaudhary and Simarjeet Singh, Lisa.
Yeah, they have. They've bowled well. Chaudhary and Singh have taken their opportunity. They've been given a chance at Chennai due to the changes of personnel, and they've come in and haven't had an impact. So that's been a really good find for them. I think also Devon Conway, though I don't think he fired last game. The other few games he did, and player of the match performance in that, I think, over 100-run partnership with Gaikwad the second time they kind of got together. So they're the little wins that they want. And, even when they mathematically could have made the finals, Dhoni at the toss actually kind of said, look, we're going to try our combination. We need to see what our best 11 is moving forward. So they were realistic enough to go, okay, we're out of it. Let's muck around and figure out what our playing 11 is, and then give them the confidence, exposure, and experience that will benefit our franchise going into next year.
And one of the other positives, strangely, has been Ambati Raidu. We're not quite sure whether he has retired or he hasn't, because Michael, I just happened to spot cursorily a tweet saying that's it for me from next season, and the next thing I can't find it anymore.
He probably not told any of the management, and they went and told him to change his mind. I'm not too sure what's going on there. I hope he hasn't retired. I think he's still got a bit left in the tank. You're a long time retired, long time away from the game. So I always advise any players, if your body's telling you that you can carry on playing and your mind's still very enthusiastic about the game and getting out there and training, just carry on as long as you can. I don't understand why players would want to retire unless mentally and physically they just can't cope with it. So I don't know where that tweet's gone, Gautam, but I'm not too sure if something's happened, but maybe he is retiring, maybe he's not. I hope he isn't.
It's the second. It's the second.
I suspect it's an emotion. I suspect it was a bit of emotion. That's what they're saying from the camp, that he was emotionally reacting to maybe not being as consistent as he would have liked, but he's put in a few good ones in there, and when it's been good, it's been really good.
Yeah, I think he's actually had a really good season. He's I think an 80 odd and a couple of 40s and 30s in good quick time. But wasn't it in 2019 he retired from all cricket as well by Twitter?
He's done it before, has he?
Yeah, he's done it before. So we all know the boy who cried wolf. I hope when he actually does retire, he does get a proper send off. But third time lucky, we may just go, this is another hoax.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it just promises to be a few interesting battles in there, but not as much stake, shall we say, in that one as there might be in game number 2, the final game of our Sunday doubleheader. Oh, this one is huge. This is massive. From the Vaughan Stadium, just next door to where the action will be happening in the afternoon, Lucknow against Rajasthan. And Michael, for the men in pink, who had maybe a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, were looking like almost behind Gujarat, one of the teams who could have sealed the top 4 spot. Not anymore.
Oh, 3 games ago, they were in. They were completely settled. I don't think there was anyone talking about them potentially missing the eliminations. They lose games on the trot. I think it's 2 on the trot that they've lost quite convincingly. And now it's pressure. But what I'll say to Rajasthan, if they can get back on the winning trail now in the last 2 games and finish the league season strongly, it takes them into the eliminations in form. They've got to try and find Butler's form again. They've got to try and find the combinations with the ball. They've got a really good bowling attack. But you just look there, Rajasthan, if they can finish on 18, having won the last 2 games and beating a team like Lucknow, I think they'll fly into those eliminations with a huge amount of confidence. If they lose tomorrow, I wouldn't want to be in that dressing room for the last game, because they were in the eliminations just a short while ago, and potentially they lose tomorrow. Those minds of those players and them make the eliminations. So tomorrow's a big day for them. I wouldn't want to see them lose tomorrow to go to that last game desperate to win that last match.
And it could just be a false sense of security if they were to have a look at that points table just like we just did, because they are in 3rd place, but the difference now is at this stage of the season, 3rd place to 7th place is just a matter of 2 points. 3rd place to 8th place is just 4 points. So it's got close. It's no longer comfortable as it was, as Michael said, 3 matches ago. So in terms of their squad, any issues there, or it's just about go back to where you were 3 matches ago?
Well, the thing is they can't, can they? Because Hetmeyer is still not available. He's still hopefully on a flight coming back to India after the birth of his first child. So I think they miss a lot there. And sometimes just one player can upset the apple cart, can't it? Because they're kind of used to everyone in their groove. That's why teams, when they're on a winning way, they don't like to disrupt it. But they'll need runs from the top. They'll need Butler to play in innings that he has been throughout this tournament, just to seal the deal and give them that relief with a victory tomorrow.
Yeah, one thing's for sure is I can't imagine that our Ashwin's going to bat at 3 again. I mean,
You just answered my
can't happen.
question.
Well, he got a half century. What more do you want from
Yeah,
the guy?
he did. But Sanju Samson he hardly faced any balls. I mean, he's someone that can get 100 at number 3. So surely he goes back to number 3. And I think, at least when you mentioned Shimron Hetmeyer not being there, that's probably why he did bat a bit lower, because they were trying to fill the void of Shimron not being in the side. Well, Sanju can't do that. He's just got to go back to number 3. He's a destroyer from that position. He can get big scores and go and set the tone from number 3. So as much as I liked Ashwin's stance when he was really low, it amused me. I don't want to see it too soon tomorrow.
Did you see the meme, Michael, of him sitting on a chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, did.
Oh, that was funny. But yeah, the only question I had to Michael was that do you see Ashwin batting up the order again? He's already answered it before I asked it. So we're one step ahead of the game. Yeah, well, there you have it. Rajasthan to get back to winning ways. It's the Brabant Stadium. And of course, that's where there's still a very good batting pitch. Quick update. Rajasthan have had a quick change, quick addition to their squad. And instead of Nathan Coulter-Nile, Corbin Bosch makes it to the Rajasthan side. Left arm quick from South Africa, as the name suggests. But he's probably not going to push into the 11 right now. So we won't discuss him any further. Instead, let's go on to Lucknow. The Super Giants, flying high, but yet to get that cue firmly into their corner. They too, Lisa, will be thinking, let's win, but we'd like 1 and 2. We'd like to play Gujarat in that first game in Kolkata.
Yeah, and what an amazing achievement it would be for both the new franchises to be the first 2 teams to get a Q next to their name and qualify in that 1 and 2 spot. And we know how crucial it is. It really is important for them. They've looked good, except for their last game against Gujarat, healthy net run rate. So they just need to potentially maybe just tweak depending on what the pitch is like. Does a Bishnoi come in to just give them an extra spin option? That may be dependent on the day's play and the pitch and what it looks like. But Mohsin Khan has been excellent. Avesh Khan, Chamira, like their fast bowling stocks has been great. And they've got, the 2 international all-rounders and Stoinis and Holder and Hooder at 3. They've been excellent for them.
Yeah, must be almost when you have such a wealth of their fast bowlers doing well. Even, when we saw Mohsin Khan staying on when he was basically a replacement for Avesh Khan comes back, Mohsin Khan stays in there. And they had to tinker with the batting order and they left Manish Pandey out. But I think when you've got all that wealth of bowling, maybe wouldn't mind Bishnoi back, get the balance in, get again, like Kolkata, get their best 11 on the park.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like the comments Gautam Gambhir made in the dressing room after the defeat in the last game. He gave him a bit of a volley. He gave him a bit of a rollicking about their mindset, which is good. I think you're allowed to do that in a dressing room. You believe that the team has not quite been up to scratch in mindset. He accepts that you can lose, but he doesn't feel that you should be losing and looking like you're thrown in the towel. So that's a little bit of a volley for his players. Let's see how they react. It goes one of 2 ways. When you make that kind of speech, some players go, you can do one. What are you talking about? And the real players and the good players look themselves in the mirror and go, you know what? He talked a lot of sense there. It's truthful. We did just throw the towel in somewhat. And that's not the mindset and the mentality that we want in this team. I think they'll get back on the track tomorrow. I think those kind of words generally, when you've got a good set of players, which they have, usually triggers a good response. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they respond to that.
And if they do respond positively, it's not going to be good news for Rajasthan, because it's a crucial game for Rajasthan to pick up points. Lucknow could maybe afford, if anything, to drop a game. Not that they'd want to, but they're pretty much looking as if they're okay to qualify, just not quite in first or second. They've virtually got a queue. I know Gujarat have a confirmed queue. Lucknow virtually have a queue. It's not just a queue guaranteed in terms of 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 2, 3, or 4. That's the way things go. So that's Lucknow against Rajasthan. That's game number 2. Doubleheader coming up on Sunday. Should be both intriguing fixtures for different reasons. We also have our joy factor question. Seems a long time ago that we asked it, so worth reminding you of the question. Here it is again. Michael was champing at the bit to get this one. 3 players made their debut in a test match in Bangalore in the 70s. The only Indian among them played just 2 tests, but the other 2 became 2 of the greatest batters ever. So who were India playing in Bangalore in the 70s? Well, let's answer that for you. We very much suspect it would have been either Pakistan or the West Indies. It was West Indies, Richardson, Greenwich, and of course Hemant Kanitkar just ended up playing a couple of them. So there you see it. You can have debuts from 2 ends of the spectrum, and you don't get greater than C.G. Greenwich and IBA Richards. Who picked us up first? And this is our winner for the day. It is. There had to be a cricket nuffy who gets a few of the encyclopedic questions from the 1970s and the 80s. Well done, Manan. And you've got it just in time there. We had a lot of answers coming in, Manan, just a few seconds ahead of many of the others. Also, because it's Sunday, we're going to have plenty coming up. Joy in the thick of the action as usual. Match party is what's on top of everyone's mind when it comes to Sunday. A double header means you can watch along. And how do you do that? You need to get to Cricbuzz Plus, subscribe, and be part of Match Party. There it is. Double the fun, non-stop cricket. 3:15 and 7:30 for both the games on Sunday in the afternoon and evening. And of course, keep an eye out for retro reels. There's many episodes. There's going to be a new one coming soon from Joy. That's all we have. We've managed to get everything packed in before midnight. So before we see you on Sunday, just enough time from Lisa Sthalekar, Michael Vaughan, and myself to say have a great last 9 minutes of Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you Sunday afternoon on Cricbuzz Live.